Project integration management. I've deliberately left this 9th knowledge area. We've been through all of the other knowledge areas: scope, time, cost, quality, communications, human resource, procurement. I've left this 9th one, project integration management, as the last nugget in this series for a very conscious, very deliberate reason. Project integration management is really the summary, the culmination, the final process, the final definition of project management. It covers our complete life cycle. The steps involved with project integration management is defined by the PMBOK guide. You develop the project charter. You define what it is, what the business requirements are going to be, and you obtain approval to proceed to initiate a project. You develop the preliminary scope statement. You define specifically what is going to be required and how the project is going to accomplish it, how long it's going to take, how much money it's going to cost, and again, you solicit a second level of approval that it's okay to proceed based on the scope statement. With that approval, we go on and we develop the project management plan. How are we going to actually manage the delivery of our project? What is our strategy for scope management, for time management, for cost management, for quality management, for human resource management, and so on? Once we have all of these planning processes in place, we go in and we direct and manage the project execution. We ensure that the team is delivering the components of the project that combine to provide the results that satisfy the business requirements specified in the project's charter, that address the specific scope statements stated in the project scope statement. Throughout the execution of the project, we, the project management team, will be monitoring and controlling the project work, ensuring that the project is progressing according to plan, ensuring that the project is on time, on budget, and taking the corrective actions to restore the project to being on time, on budget when there's deviations. Project integration management is integrated change control, ensuring that all changes in the project, however small, however large, are fully integrated into the total project picture. What impact does a change have on scope? What impact does a change have on cost? What impact does a change have on time, on risk, on human resources, on communications? And finally, the last step of project integration management as defined by the PMBOK guide is closing the project. Project integration management, the 9th of the PMBOK knowledge areas, is my closing module for this Nugget series on project management, because it fully defines what it is we're going to do as project managers to successfully deliver a project. This is project management. If we properly complete the requirements of project integration management, adhering to what we've learned from the other knowledge areas, our project will be successfully delivered. The first step of project integration management is developing the project charter. In the project charter, we work with the business, or often the business themselves define the business requirements. We need to define the specific business requirements at sufficient level of detail, at sufficient clarity, that we have a clear definition of what. That's what the business requirement is all about. It defines the what. This is what the project must do. This is what the project must satisfy. This is what the project will improve in the business overall environment. The project charter is developed from the business viewpoint. It focuses on the what. We will be doing a high-level feasibility analysis. We will be doing a high-level cost justification in the project charter to ensure that the project makes sense. Before we invest valuable company resources and valuable company dollars into a project plan, we need to first do a high-level feasibility study. Is it technically possible? Is it economically possible? Is it possible in the timeline required? Is it possible with the resources available to our company? We need to make sure that the project makes sense, that it's doable. And with that in place, we then secure formal commitment. We present the project charter to senior management, to business management, and say, this is what we believe is going to be accomplished. This is what we're going to do. This is what it looks like, how much it's going to cost at a very high level. Does this make sense? Do you, senior management, commit to the project? The PMBOK guide defines developing the charter as part of the project management processes, as part of project integration management. Often, the project charter itself is developed well in advance of introduction of the project team or us, the project managers, into the process. That's fine. If the project charter is done in advance of our involvement on the project, we simply need to review and validate that the project charter exists. We need to review and validate that the project charter exists, that it's at the right level of detail, and that we have the formal commitment. There's nothing in project integration management that says we must create a project charter. What the PMBOK guide says is we must ensure that a project charter, that a well-defined project charter, that a properly project charter exists, and that we have the formal commitment. And to me, the only way to get formal commitment is with the evasive signature, and that is my signature. You must ensure that people are willing to put their name on this, that they believe with enough conviction that this is the right solution, the right decision, the right approach for our company, that they're willing to put their signature on it. With the project charter completed, approved, and signed off, the next step in project integration management is to flesh out the project scope statement. Take the project charter, take the business requirements defined in the project charter, and define which or all of the business requirements the project itself will accomplish. The project charter may say, we need to do A, B, C, D, E, and F to accomplish this overall business requirement. Your project may only be doing B, C, D, and E, A and F, the preliminary part of the business requirement, and F, the last part of the business requirement, may not be involved in your project. The business may be doing that through another project. The business may be accomplishing that through ongoing operations. The business may be accomplishing that in other ways. Or you may have decided partway through the scoping process that the first and last steps are no longer required as you have more information. The preliminary scope statement defines what the project will accomplish. In essence, in my terminology, it defines what's in the box and what's not in the box. Our project scope statement, my project scope box. Everything inside that box, that's in scope. Or my terms, my problem. As a project manager, I have to address everything inside this box. Everything not in this box, not my problem. The preliminary scope statement is going to define the box, going to set the parameters, going to set the conditions, going to manage the expectations, is going to define what the project is going to accomplish. With the project scope statement well defined, we now know what we need to do. We know what our project is going to accomplish. We know what's in the box and not in the box. It's time to develop the project management plan. The project management plan provides the definitive statement of the project approach. It provides the definitive statement for how we're going to manage the scope for the project. What processes is the project team going to follow? What processes are we expecting the business to interact with the project team to ensure the scope is properly managed? We're going to define definitive processes for time management. What are our expectations for time management? How frequently will we get detailed time tracking reports from our team members? What format will those detailed time tracking documents be from the team members? What will the project management team do with it? How will the project plans be updated? How will the results be communicated? The same from cost. How will the project team be appraised of project costs? How much will be gathered from timesheets? How much will be gathered from the accounting system? What approval processes, what sign-off processes? How will all of the costs be accumulated? And how will the project team interact with accounting to manage the project budget? A key component to the project management plan is the quality management plan. What is the definition of quality? What is our quality expectations? What walkthroughs, what processes, what procedures will be followed? What is the quality acceptance process? Will the project be accepted with 0 faults? With no critical faults and 3 minor faults? With no critical faults and 20 minor faults? What is the quality process? What are the quality expectations? What are our human resources requirements? What team member? What team complement? When are the team members required? What are our expectations on the team members? How will the team members communicate? What are the standards and procedures for interhuman interaction within the project team? It's going to define our communications process. What information on what time frame will be communicated to what stakeholders? It's going to identify that you need to communicate weekly detailed status information to the project acceptor. It's going to identify that you need to provide summary project status information to key project stakeholders on a monthly basis. It's going to identify that you need to provide very high-level project information to the complete stakeholder community on a quarterly basis. It's going to define all of the approaches that you're going to use to manage and effectively disseminate project information to the stakeholder community. Absolutely critical is the definition of the risk management process. It's the identification: is this project risk averse, risk neutral, risk seeking? What are the key risks for the project? What strategies are we using to mitigate, to eliminate, to transfer, to avoid the risks? What's the contingency? What dollars? What time reserves are we putting in place to ensure that when risks happen on our project is not going to be a disaster, that our project is prepared for the risks? Proactivity. And finally, the project communications plan is going to define our approach for procurement. What needs to be procured? How are we going to procure it? How much are we going to procure? When are we going to procure it? And how are we going to manage the procurement process? The project management plan is the definitive statement of the project approach. From a PMI PMBOK viewpoint, all plans, all projects must include a project management plan. And the project management plan must address all of our key components to project delivery. How detailed, how comprehensive the project management plan is going to be dictated by the size, the complexity, the importance of the project. Smaller sized projects may have a 5-page project management plan. Larger projects may have a 25-page project management plan. Very large, very complex projects will not have so much a project management plan, but they will have a separate document that is the scope management plan. And they will have a separate document that is the time management plan, and a separate document that is the cost management plan, and on and on and on through each of the core components of our project management plan itself. The project management plan is critical. It provides the approach, the definition of how we're going to manage our project. The production of the project management plan completes the planning process for our project. Now we're into actually directing and managing the project execution. As discussed in the detailed nuggets, project execution is where the team members do the work to deliver the project itself. Our job as project managers during project execution is to facilitate the development of the project deliverables, to do what we can do as a project management team to eliminate the barriers, to ensure our team is working as productively as possible, to ensure that they are able to complete their job assignments. And we do that primarily by providing the appropriate project leadership. We support them, we encourage them, we facilitate, we do what we can do to ensure our team is able to execute the project, that our team is able to complete the project deliverables that are required to complete and satisfy the project scope statement, that are required to complete and satisfy the business requirements for which our project was undertaken. While the team is busy delivering the project execution, we, the project management team, are busy monitoring and controlling the project. In this activity, we manage the project. We manage that the project is on time. We manage that the project is delivering to budget. We manage that the project is delivering to the scope and only to the scope. We don't want to embellish. We don't want to gold plate. We want to ensure that we're delivering the scope and only the scope that's promised. We manage the human resource. We manage the communications. We manage the procurement. We manage the risk associated with the project to ensure that we understand where the project is and that we're taking the appropriate corrective actions to improve the project delivery situation, working with the business sponsors to ensure that any changes to time, to cost, to scope, the triple constraints, are being acted upon as a result of the facts that we are gathering during project delivery that is going to affect whether our project is on time, on budget, to scope, that risks are being identified, that risks are being dealt with, that risks are being eliminated, that your contingency is being used where appropriate, and the contingency is being applied to deal with the risks, to again ensure that our project is delivering successfully, on time, on budget, to scope. A key facet to monitoring and controlling the project work is communicating. Communicate, 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 and if you're not sure your message has been heard, communicate one or two more times. Ensure you have full, open, honest, effective, consistent, reliable, how many more terms do I need to throw in there? Communication. It's your job. You're the project manager. We need to ensure that all stakeholders, that our sponsor, that our line managers, that our senior managers are aware of the project status, are aware of the project issues, are aware of the project risks, so that they can help us successfully deliver our project. Without proper communications, our stakeholders aren't apprised of our project situation and therefore aren't empowered, aren't knowledgeable to help us ensure the project delivers successfully. A continuous process throughout project integration management is integrated change control. Integrated change control will begin literally on day 0 or maybe day 1 of your project and will continue until day finished on your project. Integrated change control is all about managing all. How many times do I have to underline all to make sure that the importance is noted? That all project changes are managed. You need to have a process for managing the small changes so that it's not considered to be a bureaucratic nightmare, and you need to have process for managing the big changes to ensure that all project changes are properly managed. That no changes to any approved, signed off project condition happens without proper integrated change management. If you have to change the color and the color has been approved and signed off, you must go through change control. If you have to add functionality that is not in the original scope, you need to go through change control. If you want to change anything that has been pre-approved on the project, it needs to go through change control. We need to have proper processes. We don't want to be seen as bureaucratic. We don't want to be seen as restricting project progress. We don't want to be seen as always saying no to the business or adding so much paperwork to the business that they perceive we're saying no. So we need to have a very streamlined process for making the small changes easy and effective while still managing them as changes, while ensuring we have proper processes in place to manage the big changes as well. Integrated change control is all about ensuring that all change is fully integrated into the project. All change is fully integrated into the project, meaning the change addresses the impact to scope, to time, to cost, to quality, to human resources, to procurement, to communications, and to risk. So each change, small or big, needs to be reviewed to determine the impact it has on the scope, on the time, on the cost, on the quality, and so on. Once you determine the fully integrated change, you're going to document that. You're going to present that, and you're going to get approval. Through approval, you have effectively integrated the change into the project. You have effectively changed the project baseline. So the new project time, the new project cost has been changed, positive or negative, depending on whether the change is adding or removing from project definition, has been changed so it has a new project baseline. You have a new yardstick against which the project will be measured. You have a new yardstick you're going to use to measure, again, whether your project is on time or on budget. Integrated change control ensures that all change is properly integrated, all components to the project are addressed, it is documented, it is approved, and your project baseline is augmented to include the change. The last step to project integration management is closing the project. Unfortunately, often many projects never get properly closed, or if they do, they only address the first component, which is the administrative component. The physical closing of the books in your company that the project is complete. A key component to administrative closure is final acceptance. Getting a signature, getting approval from the project sponsor, from your project acceptor, that the project has satisfied their business requirement that we defined way back in the project charter, and that the project has completed, that they no longer have any obligations, that yes, they are happy. If closure happens at all, often it is just the pure administrative closure. Proper project closure, as defined by the PMBOK guide, is much more than that. It will go on to include proper contract closure. If you have procurement aspects open in your project, it's ensuring that all procurement aspects are closed, that the contracts are closed with your suppliers and your vendors, that property is returned, that payments are made, that holdbacks and warranties are properly applied, that all the terms and conditions for your external third-party procurement are properly closed off and finalized for your project. The two components to closing a project that unfortunately often never get properly addressed are probably the two most important components. The first of these is archiving of the project assets. Your project has produced a lot of materials, a lot of working papers, a lot of interim documentation. A lot of work has been done into producing the final product and getting the final acceptance, and that work all resulted in project artifacts, project assets. As part of proper project closure, these artifacts, these assets should be archived, put into some kind of, I'm going to use the word permanent storage, that is going to allow future projects, future members of your organizations to go back and say, hey, that project that Steve did 2 years ago, it produced a system test plan. I hear that was a really good system test plan. I'd like to get a copy of it. Without proper archival of the project assets, no one has a clue where that system test plan will be. And again, yet another project in your company is starting out with a blank piece of paper as opposed to having a tried, proven, reliable, quality asset that they can reuse and reapply. And the final component to closing out the project is harvesting of the lessons learned. What did we learn from this project? What did we do well? What would we like to repeat? What mistakes did we make? How would we avoid making them in the next project? Harvesting of the lessons learned and distributing those lessons learned throughout your organization is vital to ensure your project management processes and your organization in general progress and improve. You need to share. You need to improve. You need to add professionalism to the project management processes in your company. This nugget concludes this series on project management and preparing for the PMP exam. I've selected project integration management as the final nugget because it summarizes what project management is all about. Project management is all about initiating the project, developing the project charter, ensuring that we have a full, firm understanding of what the project expectations is, what the business wants from our project. Project management is all about developing the preliminary scope statement and developing the project management plan. It's planning the project to ensure that we have a full, comprehensive strategy for successfully delivering the project. Once we have a proper plan in place, we bring in the project team and they execute and deliver the project. They complete the project deliverables. They address, they complete, they produce the results that the business is looking for. During the execution of the process, we monitor and control the process to ensure that the project is delivering on time, on budget, to customer satisfaction, and we take the appropriate corrective actions to correct the project when there are deviations from the original plan. Project management is all about integrated change control to ensure that all changes are properly documented and that all changes are fully implemented, fully integrated into the total project picture. And then finally, project management is all about closing the project to ensure that we've archived the project, that we've gained final approval and final acceptance, we've closed out all of our third-party procurement processes, we've archived our records, and we've harvested our lessons learned. Project integration management, project management is all about doing the right things to ensure that we're delivering the right product to our business at the right time, at the right price. With the information that you've gathered from this Nugget series, I'm confident you will be very successful going forward as project managers, and I'm confident you will be very successful going into the project management exam, and that you will be certified as PMP project management professionals. Thank you and well done. This concludes our nugget on project integration management. I hope this video has been informative for you, and thank you very much for viewing.